most of my work has a hefty dose of humor and absurdity, and some things that are quite easy to get quickly, and others that take a little resonant time to appreciate. And so, yeah, I understand personas, and I think they're very useful, but it doesn't. It's not really part of my practice.
Yeah, I guess I would say not part of my practice either, but I've had some similar issues that Jacqueline and Brad were mentioning. I mean, in the prison, I go into the prison with a nonprofit organization that was started by two lawyers that work with women in prison on their cases against the prison, and it's a prison abolition perspective. And so our relationship with the prison is very adversarial, and so I do represent myself to the prison administration as a legal advocate, which is not necessarily not true, because I am a legal advocate doing media activism relative to the legal issues around incarceration, but it's not strictly true because there is a prison media ban in the state of California, so representatives of the media are not allowed to enter prisons and have conversations with prisoners that are recorded or even written down that aren't without a prison administration or guard, someone official from the prison present, which, you know, I couldn't do that because the whole project is about a critique of the prison system. So I get access as a legal advocate, and I'm allowed to bring my mini disc recorder in. I'm, you know, searched, and we have to be registered. You have to be cleared. Luckily, I never got caught doing anything that would keep me from being cleared before I started this project. There's a lot of hassle about getting into the prison because the guards that do the processing for visitors know who we are and what we're about. And then I guess I've had more of this kind of issue. The women trust me because I come in with this organization that is working for them. And then the women introduce me to other women who they think would want to participate in the project. They know who I am and they know what I'm doing, but the prison doesn't. But I've worked with injection drug users, not young people, but mostly middle-aged and elderly people who are primarily street people who are the clients of an HIV prevention clinic and needle exchange program. And I've had that same experience where they don't understand why I would be doing what I'm doing. They think I'm a sociologist, and they've been stipended to be interviewed by sociologists on occasion, and they think I'm asking those kinds of questions. And it takes a long time, and sometimes it's not even possible to break through that. Yes, right here in front.
I have a question for Andy.
Can you wait till the mic gets to you just so other people can hear?
My question is, as you said, it seems like your persona is set up in the frame or the context, but it would seem like there would need to be a very complete image or infrastructure of some kind in setting up that frame, and I'm wondering how it is that you set up that persona, send that persona ahead of yourself. What PR or logistics are used to create that illusion so you can step out there and do whatever you want?
Yeah, that's the hard part. Once you're in it, it's super easy. You can do anything you want, probably. Pee on stage, that's something, I'm not sure, but up till then. Yeah, setting it up it's actually not that hard, but it does take a little bit of skill. Like, I think there's probably 100,000 con artists in the US who could do it much better than we do. But all you do is, well, originally we would just have websites up there. People would stumble on them, fake websites, satirical websites, that, you know, if you looked at them, you would notice that they weren't real, but a lot of people wouldn't, and just stumble on them and send us emails inviting us to these conferences thinking we were the WTO or whoever. We lost patience at a certain point with that because it doesn't happen that often. So what our modus recently has been to, well, like the Exxon thing, we were invited to give a talk by a group there called Arusha, which focuses on, they're an activist group in Calgary that focuses a lot on the oil sands issue. And we told them, well, we'd love to go there, and we know about the oil sands issue a little bit, or we did a little research, found out about it. Is there an oil conference happening at any time that this could coincide with? And they found the oil conference, seemed perfect. So at that point, we had to get in. And so we posed as a public relations company. We had an email that looked a lot like the real email of the public domain. It was actually hillknowlton.com, and the real agency is hillandknowlton.com, and just emailed them and said, we have a client from Exxon who wishes to speak at your conference because it's an important oil conference, and he's a very important client. Actually, it's Lee Raymond, who used to be the CEO, and they were thrilled. And we said, well, there's a chance he might not make it, so don't publish it anywhere. Just say it's somebody important. Because we didn't want, Lee Raymond Googleable and, Exxon finds out. So we told them not to. And so they didn't for a while. And, but we set up like 2 or 3 personalities at the public relations company, corresponding and getting a bit of confusion going, like, oh, you said that, and oh, he said that. Sorry, he was speaking out of turn. And we do things like cite, somebody named Fred or whatever. Fred said to contact you. Everybody knows a Fred. Sometimes even the last name, and they would just figure they couldn't remember because they meet thousands of people. That sort of trick, it's not that hard. You can kind of figure it out if you just think through like what will confuse people and what could work, what might seem credible. And then, so we never even had an Exxon website. And our Hill and Knowlton website just redirected to Hill and Knowlton, the real one. So it's just the email that came back to us. There was, pretty simple. Any other elements? I mean, we've been meaning to write a how-to for this stuff because it's not very hard. Yeah.
What's your legal liability?
Well, Hill and Knowlton finally, I mean, we did this for years. We got into that conference, the New Orleans conference that I mentioned, I think another one that way, and finally they wrote us an email. I can't remember, it was a specific event that triggered it, but they wrote us an email saying, please stop using our thing or we're going to crack down on you. Yeah, and it was pretty indefensible. We couldn't actually excuse why we were using it, so it was really a con job. No. We don't really feel the need to, like that, we didn't feel the need to push it because it wasn't really defensible. But in other cases, like if Exxon tried to take us to court, that would be fantastic. We would just say, well, there's all kinds of arguments. Like to actually have a case against us, they'd probably have to argue that it was credible that they would turn humanity into fuel, which would be a great argument to see them trying to make. And they'd win, of course. But no, it'd be great. We'd have a platform, and they know it.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say, it strikes me that the nature of the population that you're working with determines whether or not you might be wearing, going some kind of a disguise that, the Yes Men and the work that Dee and Nomi have done with psychological prosthetics allow you to address, a public that sort of is, you're working with a different element of trust that I don't think the rest of you could achieve if you came in disguise. That there's, even though they may make presumptions about who you are, the fact that you come in a sense as a more authentic self seems to make a difference working with those populations in that regard. And I'm wondering if anybody has a comment on that.
I would say that, I think the trust, issues of trust with the populations that I've worked with, those issues are really important, and being able to present yourself in an open way. And I don't interview the women that I work with in the prison. I just ask them what they want to talk about and what their topics are. And I try to kind of use what I guess is called kind of feminist research strategies, where